because I'm a stickler with time, I know we'll probably have other folks joining when their 2 to 3 o'clock Zoom meeting ends and they transition over to this one, but it's nice to see everybody. Welcome. I know we're a little bit off schedule since this is not the first Monday, but the first Tuesday. I hope that everybody had a wonderful long 3-day weekend. I'm sure you all join me in wishing every weekend was a 3-day weekend, because boy, it's nice to have that additional day, even though I feel like everything piles up on the Tuesday after you come back. But it's great to be here. It's great to see you all. And I'm excited for today's agenda. I'll go ahead and share my screen, which is always the fun part of the day, just to make sure that my screen, and we'll do that. Can everybody see my screen without a bunch of people? Thank you, Michelle Logic. I saw, and Alex Bossy, I saw your fingers first. This is awesome. Technology is working for us, knock on wood, at least for the first part of the day. Again, I will try to monitor the chat, although I do not multitask well, but feel free, and we will stop after I introduce Dean Rowland and she introduces herself. We will pause there for questions since she can't be with us for the whole extension connections, but we'll certainly leave time at the end for any general questions that you may have. I know there are a lot out there, especially around COVID, so we will have time at the end for those. So happy September. Today's agenda, and by the way, if you did not know that in Belfast a couple weeks ago, they had a huge floating rubber ducky, and I got to see it, and it was fantastic. And so this is an actual picture. Somebody floated a ginormous rubber ducky in the Belfast harbor that said joy on it, and why not? And it brought me joy, so I thought I would share that. It was a great way to kick off today's agenda. We do have some new folks joining Extension, and I want to give them a shout out to our new employees. And then also a big shout out to Dr. Diane Rowland, who is our new Dean of Natural Sciences, Forestry and Agriculture. Then we're going to go into whatever COVID updates, and I'm not sure I have any new information, but we'll talk about what I have. Open up to talk about AgrAbility Ambassadors. There's some really cool things happening in communications and marketing that I want to make you aware of. And then we'll do a recap of August and what September looks like. So that's today's agenda. We do have some new employees that I want to give a big shout out to. And I'm getting a little feedback. So just a gentle reminder, if you don't mind putting your microphones on mute, that would be great. Mari Proulx is our new assistant director at our UMaine Camp and Learning Center at Bryant Pond. Mari has been at Bryant Pond for a little while, but this is a new title for her, and we really appreciate her moving into this role, and say a big congratulations. Karen Giles is our new 4-H youth development professional in Somerset County. We're excited to have you with us, Karen. Mackensie Schofield is our 4-H community education assistant, CL2 in Waldo County. Fun fact about Mackensie, she is also a former 4-H'er and was one of our extension interns this summer. So I feel like it's wonderful to have her follow the path right to Waldo County. So welcome, Mackensie. And then we just we've got the signed MOU with Dr. Sean Birkel, who will be the Assistant Extension Professor of Climate Services, which is a split appointment between Extension and the UMaine Climate Change Institute. So Sean will be beginning his role this month as well. So again, despite all the challenges related to COVID, it's great to have some new people come on board and move our extension programs forward in this area. So please join me in welcoming all these new employees as they begin to populate your meeting screens and Zoom screens as you interact with them. Now, I am very pleased to welcome Dr. Diane Rowland. She is with us this afternoon. She's going to just share a few minutes, a little bit of her background, kind of what maybe her vision is for NSFA, and again, how NSFA and Extension can collaborate. In full disclosure, Diane and I did know each other at the University of Florida, which we have to say go Gators after that, because even though they don't sign our paycheck, we still have to say that. But I'm so excited. Selfishly, I'm so excited for Diane to be here. We have already hit the road. The picture that you see on your screen is actually Diane and I participating in Wild Maine Blueberry Weekend. This is the legislative tour Commissioner Beal has actually joined us in this picture. Last week, Diane and I spent 2 days in, as I like to say, God's country, which is also Aroostook County, talking with the potato industry, grains, and broccoli. She comes to us from the University of Florida as the chair of the Department of Agronomy. She is a researcher in crop physiology, and she is returning home to Maine. She did spend some time here in Maine. She'll probably talk about that, but what I love is she actually, her dad used to work here in Libby Hall. And so I love it when people and connections kind of come full circle. So with that, Dean Rowland, I'm happy to turn the Zoom screen over to you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and thanks for having me today. It's really great to be a part of the meeting. I'm sorry I can't stay for the full one, but I'm looking forward to participating in upcoming extension connections. This is just wonderful. So Hannah, you've kind of covered it all. I'm not quite sure what to add other than, yeah, so my background is in agronomic crops. I'm peanut physiologist at heart. So my career started in peanuts, but I've worked in cotton, corn, and papaya. I'm a whole plant physiologist and started the agroecology academic program at the University of Florida. So that kind of gives you a grounding of where I come academically, but I'm very excited now to be a part of NSFA. I've been on the job now for a month, and the breadth of the college is overwhelming, but I think one of the really wonderful, exciting elements, there are many, but one of them for sure is this tighter connection with extension. And again, because Hannah and I knew each other very briefly, honestly, at the University of Florida, we are both familiar with that structure of a very close connection between the academics, the research, and extension. So that just kind of feels natural. So I'm really excited to have this sort of expanded partnership and collaboration with extension. And I see many, many opportunities and things that we're going to work on together. And so that involves everybody on this call. So I'm very happy to be here. I am sort of returning home. So people ask me, am I from Maine? And I have to sort of qualify that. My family's actually from New Mexico. And I got my PhD at the University of New Mexico, but my dad was transferred when I was 10 to Maine. He worked with the Forest Service, and he was stationed here on campus in Libby Hall. We still got to figure out the exact room he was in. I think he was on the second floor, but so I remember many times as a kid coming to the parking lot of Libby and picking him up after work. So that's really great. Unfortunately, I lost both of my parents last year, and in cleaning out their house with my sister who lives here in Brewer, realized that the state had done an awful lot for our family. And so when this position opened up in NSFA, it was just a wonderful way to try to give back. And I was lucky enough then to be chosen to come in as dean. So I'm very excited to be here. And I guess I'm open to discussions and visits at any point. I have an open office on Thursdays from 4 to 4:30. You are certainly welcome to attend that, but I'm excited just to learn as much as I can. And it has definitely been like drinking from a fire hose. So with that, I guess I can answer any questions, or y'all can move on.
I would like to say that the feeling of drinking from a fire hose goes away, but I'm not sure it does. So I mean, you know, yeah,
but it's all good. It's all good coming out of the fire hose. So it's just a matter of learning as much as possible.
Yes, no, it absolutely is. And certainly I do have the chat box opened up. If anybody wants to type in a quick question for Diane, or shout it out over the Zoom screen. I've got, I think, apparently 3 screens of people. It's so great to have you all here, but are there any questions? And that's a very nice thought. Ann Lichtenwaller just says, welcome aboard. I'm not sure if you have your chat open, Diane, but
I do. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Any other thoughts? And again, we'll probably have Diane back because I know there's just, again, after week 4, there's still so much to learn. And I think there's going to be opportunities to talk about specific projects, programs, ideas, other collaborations at some point. But I just wanted to take the opportunity for people to have a chance to meet her just briefly. So we can certainly forego some of those things. Thank you, Lynn Holland. I will let the dean talk about her lobster roll preference.
Drawn butter for sure.
Those questions that you never think of. Yeah.
Hey.
Well,
thank you again.
Yes, and I know I speak for everybody here and all the folks that aren't here is we're here to help formally, informally, whatever we can do across the state to help either orient or again, think about the future. Again, I know I speak for everybody in saying that we're here to partner with you and that we're very excited to have you here. So thank you again for the time today.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. I put the COVID update slide together. And again, I realize I really don't have any newer updates than what I sent out on Friday. But I will share again and stop. And if anybody has questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them. I do see Teresa's question in the chat. Do we still need to complete the COVID forms when people from outside are in the building? Teresa, I don't believe we need to complete those forms anymore. Just if we have somebody coming into the building to pick up something. The program checklists are continually to be updated, and we do need to keep track of people who are in our programs. So I'm using, I'm using the requirements that CDC says. If we had to, if we did have somebody that tested positive in one of our programs, we would have to notify close contacts, and close contacts are those that are within 6 feet for over 15 minutes. So I feel like if you're just coming into our offices to pick up a form or to drop off something, we don't need to keep track of those people, but we still absolutely do need to keep track of the people who are in our in-person program. So I hope that helps with that question. If you didn't read the president's memo on Friday, she indicated that 77% of full-time UMaine employees, that includes all of us around the state, have been vaccinated and have uploaded their vaccination card to the system. As we learned last week, the chancellor made an announcement that vaccination requirements for faculty and staff would be forthcoming. When I asked the president that during our Wednesday morning meeting, she said they will be forthcoming and left it at that. So we're still all waiting on knowing what those vaccination requirements are. I know that they were working with the unions on this. And again, I just don't have any other information at this point in time. So just know that when we have information, we will share it, but we all may be learning it together. I have a feeling there's going to be an email that comes out from the system. And so once that email comes out, we'll figure out what questions, we all have in regards to that. The remote work requests, I know I've had a bunch of them come in today. The provost and I are meeting tomorrow to go through those. And again, happy to answer any questions. This is one of those, the system has come out with a lot of communication, and then the university, and because we are part of academic affairs, I know it sounds crazy, but we are part of academic affairs. I report to the provost. The provost does have administrative, I guess, like it does administrate extension. How about that over me? So this is why these are sitting with the provost right now, and we will discuss them. The provost has taken a pretty hardline stance with these remote work requests. If it has a health reason, or if there has been a previous telecommute policy in place, those seemingly are what are moving forward. I know from many of the remote work requests that I'm seeing, and again, I think we all have learned a lot through COVID, that people are very productive, and there is an ease of scheduling and a commute time, and I know all of the reasons why people have submitted them. and I understand them. I'm just not sure that we're going to be able to get them all approved. I'm not sure that we're even going to get a majority approved at this point in time. I think there is a bigger discussion, and this is why we are meeting tomorrow, is if this remote work request submission process replaces the old telecommuting process. I feel like we need, that's the case I'm making, is that many of you probably would not have submitted one of these if there had not been COVID. But we learned a lot, and we all had to work remotely. And so again, I feel like many folks are wanting to put a telecommuting process in place. And so I, again, am having that conversation tomorrow. So my plan is, once we do have that conversation and I know more about the remote work requests, I will certainly reach out to the individuals who have submitted one. But then probably on Wednesday, I'll be sending out an email after the president's call, and we'll generalize what the provost and I talked about, just so the rest of the organization is aware of, what his philosophy has been addressing these. So that's all to say. Stay tuned. And again, there'll be more information tomorrow about these requests. Again, face coverings are required for everybody right now, vaccinated or unvaccinated, in every university building. And if you are doing university business outside of a university building. So if you are going someplace, I'll use the example last week, as Diane and I were traveling around Aroostook County, we wore face coverings inside of every building that we were in as part of the tour. So again, face coverings are required in all facilities. At this point in time, I put county offices, but it should have been all of our offices are fully opened and there are no restrictions in place. I know some county offices continue to leave a front door locked. And again, that's just, call or knock or whatever. And again, it may be because there's only, one person in the office until these remote work requests get sorted out. And that's fine. It's just, again, we need to ensure that all of our offices are fully open to the public. That's the communication that the university has said. Everything is wide open here on campus. I have actually been swearing at the traffic now because I haven't had to deal with that for over a year and a half. And again, campus is fully occupied, whether that's from a student perspective or from staff here on campus as well. I've gotten a bunch of questions around travel. Right now, there is no requirements for additional authorization or approvals if you are traveling domestically, that's within the United States. Just do what you would have done prior to the pandemic in regards to getting approvals from supervisors and whatnot. If you have international travel, that's where there is still some additional approvals that you need, and it depends on which country that you're going to and if they're a tier 1, 2, 3, or 4 country. So if you have plans or needs to travel internationally, whether it's for a grant project or for a meeting, just please reach out to me and copy your supervisor as soon as you can, because we will have to do additional approvals in that regard. I would say I had a paper that was accepted at a meeting in Switzerland this fall. I'm not gonna go just because it doesn't feel right at this point in time. I think it's, I think these are all personal decisions as well. But I'm making the decision because there is a hybrid option to take the hybrid option versus probably traveling. So just know that that there will be some additional questions and probably additional hoops that we have to jump through, but I'm willing to certainly support you if you do have travel internationally this fall and even next spring. If there's something on the horizon, I think it would be great to work on it sooner rather than later, even though I know things are changing seemingly on a daily and weekly basis. There is continued to be COVID testing through the fall. And again, really appreciate Fran and everybody around at our camps and our county offices that are helping to facilitate testing. I think it's important to know you can participate in the weekly testing, even if you are fully vaccinated, if it is peace of mind for you and your family. We do have folks that are opting in to do that. And if you have an interest in doing so, again, just reach out to Fran and let her know just so you can be put on the list. As far as our in-person programs go, there are no restrictions on group size indoors. There's no social distancing requirements at this point in time. And so again, we continue to get some questions in that regard. I don't know, people have asked me about, potential, certainly in the fall and in the winter, we do some of our larger industry meetings and whatnot. I think we've all learned that COVID just won't go away. As I said, it seems like it's month 556 of COVID. I don't know, at least from my perspective. So, let's talk these things through. Just if we're looking at a meeting of 100 or so people, what does that look like? And is there a hybrid option? Because there potentially should be, just with numbers being what they are here in the state of Maine. There is, the president does do a Wednesday 8 a.m. call. So again, if anything changes or if there are any updates from her call on Wednesday morning, I'll send them out to you all, soon thereafter. And again, I will also include just general what happened with the remote work requests with the provost. So with that, happy to answer any questions now that people have, if you want to shout them out or put them in the chat box in regards to COVID. What haven't I covered that there may be lingering questions about? Other than to say I wish I had more concrete information. And again, we'll still have some time at the end if questions come to mind too, but thought I would pause mostly so I could take a drink too. All right. What I may do is turn it over, I think Dick, hopefully Dick is on the Zoom. May turn it over to Dick to talk about the Maine AgrAbility Ambassadors. I see you now, Dick, so I'll turn the Zoom screen over to you.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so Maine AgrAbility has been around since 2010, and we've never really had a group like this called AgrAbility Ambassadors. So we would like to, we're going to invite extension staff and people beyond extension to consider being ambassadors. And it's mostly just becoming familiar with what AgrAbility does and our outreach to farmers, farm workers, farm family members, fishermen, and loggers around the state. But we're going to launch this. It's going to be a virtual training, 2 Friday sessions, 1 hour in length each. So we'd like you to save some dates of October 29th and November 5th. There are 2 Fridays and consecutive Fridays. And what our purpose is behind is, you've heard the term 2 heads are better than 1. Well, there's 65 people on the webinar today. 65 heads are better than 2. So just that when you know about something, and each of our work in extension, we deal with lots of people. And sometimes we come across people with different needs. And so we'd like to recruit a group of staff and individuals around the state to become AgrAbility ambassadors to help us promote the program and also refer people to the program. Lonnie Carlson is our coordinator, and that's where all referrals go to. She's our point person, and Lonnie's not able to be with us today, but she's very pivotal in the whole outreach piece. But we'd like to make sure that people around the state that have a need when it comes to being able to keep working or get back to work because of a disability, that this AgrAbility ambassador piece, we need ambassadors to help us get the word out and also refer people to Maine AgrAbility. So I think that's about it for me, Hannah. But if anyway, there'll be 2 trainings, one Friday at 11 o'clock each morning on Friday, October 29th, and Friday, November 5th. So if you're interested, you'll see some pieces coming out. We're working with communications and marketing team to get this ready. So you'll be looking for that in an email in the coming days and weeks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dick. Any quick questions for Dick? And I'm sure Dick and Lonnie would be happy to answer specific questions if you have them, whether email or again.
One thing I didn't mention, I think it'd be good too, you could see in the benefits, by becoming an ambassador, you could, you're going to learn a lot about disabilities, but also, some people, this could really strengthen your resume too, just to have this kind of training, so to be aware of disabilities and how people with disabilities what their needs are when it comes to education and being able to work and being able to function as an individual.
Dick, there was a quick question in the chat. Any idea as far as a time commitment or any thoughts as far as a time commitment?
Not really. I mean, we're looking at it as probably year by year. We'll probably have this training once a year. It could happen more often if needed, but it's a basic training on what AgrAbility is, who the staff are involved, because we work with occupational therapists. We contract with private occupational therapists in Maine, and so they become a really important part of our training. So really, the commitment would be, as a volunteer, you can commit as long as you want to. But we'd like just to be, to be better at observing, listening, and helping us to reach more people. Because when you think about it, we've got 1.3 million people in Maine. Not everybody's a farmer, fisherman, or logger, but a lot of people know people that are in those vocations. And a lot of times, all those are strenuous physical jobs out in the weather. And their bodies wear out. So all of us know somebody probably that work in those areas and maybe injured or disabled or have a chronic illness that AgrAbility could help.
That's awesome. And thank you, Tracy, for putting the link up in the chat box as well. Well, again, if anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Dick and or Alani, and I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them. And thank you for considering this request. It is just a great way to plug into the existing networks. Again, if we were to map the social network of extension in the state, it would be significantly powerful. So if we could plug into those networks, that would be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dick. I thought it would be fun to include a couple communications and marketing updates. And we're going to also do this next month as well, because again, we've been putting stats and figures together for various reports. And so we wanted to share some of these stats with you all, because again, it's due to your work that these numbers are what they are. So the first thing we're happy to announce as of the end of last week, we do have a marketing and communications director position that has been fully approved. This has been an adventure. Again, we did have a resignation in the communications and marketing team, so we reconfigured that position to really focus on marketing and to elevate it. It is going to serve on my leadership team and be a very close liaison with the University of Maine. There was a hiring freeze in regards to these types of positions. I feel like I just wore them down because I didn't give up. And so I wore them down enough to get it fully approved last week. So we are posting this, which is very exciting. Again, it came out of the roadmap process. This type of position was really identified as a need. So I'm really pleased that we can move forward with it. Cindy let me know this morning that we've received over 3 million hits on our website this past year, in these past 12 months. That is up 13% over last year. And we thought last year was pretty amazing. Again, it just shows the interest that is out there, the continued good work of all of the programs and the interest of people and people going to us, because again, a trusted, respected source of information. So just really excited about that. We're going to have some more numbers to share with you all next month as well. And then if you all remember, in August, Tracy and Lynn joined us to talk about our transition of our publications, online publications catalog. So I just reached out to her this morning to talk about, now that we're a month in, and she said that things are going well. Thank you for the folks that have reached out to her. I think that people like the new catalog, the new system. And again, if you can't find something, feel free to reach out to Tracy and she will certainly help you as she does. So just really excited and really appreciate, again, all the efforts of our communications and marketing team. Looking back and looking ahead, and again, I have now started putting these kind of together in one slide versus, talking about the past month and then talking about the month ahead. And I know that I lose things probably in doing this, but just trying to give everybody an idea of what August looked like now that it's passed, and again, what September looks like ahead. Last August, I think I learned more about the wild blueberry industry here in the state than I've done the previous 2 years, just because I was able to do 3 different day-long tours with different entities, which is really fascinating. I didn't know much about the wild blueberry industry here in the state, and I feel like I know a lot more. And so that was fantastic. And you saw the picture, Diane and I were able to join the commissioner on one of those tours, and it was wonderful to be able to spend the day with Commissioner Beal as well, to talk about the partnerships and collaborations between the Department of Ag, Conservation and Forestry and Extension as well. Obviously you saw, Diane, we did have 3 new deans start in August. The 4th new dean, Norm, who I chaired his search committee, started in July. So it's really interesting. And you know this, when new members join your meetings, it's that forming process of forming new teams and getting to know new people. And so it's been really interesting. And most of our meetings here on campus, actually 99% of our meetings on campus are now in person. And so to have new people sitting around the table and new ideas and new energy has been awesome. And it's been a shot in the arm, I think, for me, who was new, and then COVID hit. And so I feel like in a way I get to be new again, to learn some of the things along with the 3 new deans here on campus. And so that's been really gratifying. We did give Chancellor Malloy a tour of the Diagnostic and Research Lab last month, and it was great for him to connect with the different entities and programs and people in the DRL. And again, we're looking at ways to also engage the Chancellor in programs. And so if you have any ideas or thoughts, would love to hear them. If there's an opportunity for Chancellor Malloy to come learn more about the projects and things that we have going on in Extension, I'll certainly take those opportunities. I've talked about it. It took up a good bit of time. I was on the task force for the University of Maine at Machias, and we submitted our final report in August to Emily Haddad, who is our chairperson for this task force. It was great for me. And again, I'll give a big shout out to Jen Lobley, who was part of an informal subcommittee. Again, we've had these different entities in Washington County. Obviously, we have our extension facility. We have now Greenland Point, our 4-H camp. We have research happening at Blueberry Hill, the research farm, and now the University of Maine at Machias. I think there's some great opportunities to increase what we do, and just again build on the collaborations of these entities in Washington County. We did an extension lunch and learn with Dr. Angie Zhang. Again, that is recorded and available for you all to watch if you have an interest. Dr. Zhang is in the Maine Business School and has done some really interesting research on value-added aquaculture and is looking for partnerships and collaborations. And we actually had a really great discussion about even engaging youth in this research process. Again, her research is fascinating. She comes most recently from Alaska. So there's been some interesting research that she's done with value added around consumer perceptions around salmon. And so I encourage you, if you have interest, to watch her lunch and learn. We did an all-day in-person Dean's Retreat at the end of August. Again, really interesting to, number one, be all in person again, and then to have pretty much half the group be new. I think there's a lot of really positive energy with this new group, and it'll be interesting to see what comes from it. I was supposed to go to Montana at the end of August, and unfortunately, due to wildfires and smoke and some other unforeseen circumstances, I had to postpone that trip. Hopefully I'll get there at some point in time. But I did take a few days off to do house projects, as you do when you take vacation and you stay at home. You just end up doing the house projects that you can't get done on a weekend, but it was nice to take the time. And then we finished up last week with the 2-day tour of Aroostook County with Diane. In September, I feel like, geez, it already feels like we're knee deep in the first week of September is gone. We're already knee deep in the second week. Today, there were cluster hire proposals that were due to the provost's office, and Extension was part of several cluster hires across campus. And I think this is interesting, and again, increases our capacity and our visibility across campus in working with some units and some entities that we've never worked with before. And again, that's certainly a theme of this provost is interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary collaborations. And so it's been fun actually to be a part of those and think about how to engage extension in areas that we haven't been engaged in before. I mentioned this before, I say this in jest, but it just feels like, man, it is month 456 of dealing with COVID. It just does not go away. I feel like we were starting to feel like we were over it. And here we are right back into it, almost, you know, to the point I feel like we were a year ago of just trying to figure things out. So I haven't used the words in a long time of flexibility and grace, but let's not forget those because I feel like it's still very important and much needed. I mentioned this, that the communications and marketing position is moving forward, which is really exciting. We had 3 extension interns this summer. We piloted our internship program. I think it's a wild success. Again, I mentioned Mackensie prior as a new hire. We do have fall interns that are starting, and we are going to send out a call for spring interns. So I encourage you, if you have an interest of possibly engaging with an intern, no matter where you are across the state, we've made this work virtually. We've certainly, and actually have had somebody from outside of UMaine, actually a USM student, engage in our internship program. So the possibilities are out there. And if you have interest, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Caitlin Ramsey, and we'll certainly get you information or answer any questions that you may have. As I mentioned before, I'm part of now the Maine Woodland Owners. They are actually having a field day next weekend. It's on Sunday that I'm going to go spend the day out in the woods learning more about small woodlot owners. So I think that's, again, going to be important as we look at the state. And as I mentioned before, it just seems like things are ramping up as far as visits, in-person meetings, tours. I haven't had to think about my calendar as far as building in even time to walk across campus. And it's kind of bitten me a couple of times where we're so used to going from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom that we don't build in 10 minutes maybe to walk across campus to a meeting. And so again, I encourage you as you think about scheduling and don't take things for granted anymore. There have been times where I'm like, oh, this is clearly a Zoom meeting. It's not. Oh, wow, I've got to get places now. Or vice versa, where I thought it was an in-person meeting and it's a Zoom meeting. So just things to think about. And I'm hopeful in September, one of my goals for September is to refocus, again, my time and effort more internally on the organization. I'll talk about this in the next slide too. Our roadmap steering committee has been meeting monthly. And so again, refocusing on those efforts and refocusing again on administrative changes at the ELT level, which again will work hand in hand with some of the steering committee outcomes as well. The marketing and communications position is one of those. So that's hopefully what I'm going to do in September, is be able to refocus some of my time more internally versus externally. I wanted to mention just a couple of things to put them back on your screen. And I came to work last week and found this pin on my door. And how fantastic is that? Because I mentioned my love of Dolly Parton in a previous Extension Connections, and the elves brought me a pin. So appreciate anybody who I did find out through some really actual, I should go work for the FBI because I figured it out who brought it to me. But it was a fun, just random thing that greeted me last week. Again, I mentioned internships. Caitlin is going to have a question and answer session if anybody's interested in learning more about the program on October 6th from 2 to 3. So if you're thinking about it and want to learn more, please feel free to participate in that. There will be a Zoom link forthcoming. And again, if you have any other questions, I'm sure she's more than willing to answer them outside of that. We do have our next Lunch and Learn will be September 17th, again at 11:30. It'll be our own Mari. We'll be discussing her new role as our Extension Instructional Designer. What does that mean? What can she help you with? She can answer any questions. So really excited for Mari to be our Lunch and Learn speaker in September. Again, that's September 17th at 11:30. There will be reminders being sent out in regards to that. And then, as I mentioned before, our steering committee for the roadmap process has been meeting monthly. It's a great group of folks, and we are posting our meeting notes on the roadmap website. So thanks to Michelle Snowden for keeping that current and still up and running. So if you're curious of what's going on, feel free to reach out to learn more about what's happening in those meetings. So with that, and again, I would be remiss in saying that, I forgot that I had a whole slide on this. You've been getting the food from home recipe contest emails. If you didn't know this, Maine's bicentennial was last year. There was a bicentennial cookbook that came out. It's fantastic. I encourage you to look at that if you have any culinary. I just loved it because it's fun to learn about Maine and fun to see the recipes. It was so widely popular. And oh, by the way, Extension was one of the sponsors of the cookbook. It was so widely popular, they are putting a new cookbook, a second edition out. And Extension is going to have one of the featured recipes. And so we thought it would be fun if Extension's featured recipe came from Extension. So we encourage you to submit a recipe. We have extended the deadline because they actually extended their deadline. So September 10th. These are the food item that you see on this slide are Lind Holland's grandmother's plum dumpling recipes, which I think I just want some right now. But I encourage you to submit a recipe. We will be then deciding on whose recipe is going to be Extension's featured recipe in this cookbook, which then you can buy and you can show all your family and friends, like, again, that you have Extension's featured recipe. And it would be cool if it was a family recipe. And again, just think about what your food from home looks like. And it doesn't have to be food from, Aroostook County, which most of my recipes come from because they are my grandmother's. But just think about it. It'd be fun to have. We already have some really great recipes already submitted, but it would be fun to have more. So with that, my final slide, and again, as I said, I would be remiss in not mentioning Jim Dwyer, who we lost this last month. And again, it was fun to pull out some pictures from Jim. I tried to find one. This is a fun fact. Jim was very, 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 very engaged and supporter of the Anna Temple in Aroostook County, and was one of the people that put on our Anna Temple Shrine Circus. And so one year, I actually volunteered to make cotton candy, which I will never do again before the circus, because do you know how much cotton candy goes into a circus performance? I didn't, but I swear to God, we made thousands of things of cotton candy. One of my many, many memories of Jim. And again, really appreciate everybody's comments when they reached out after my email in regards to mentioning Jim's passing to the organization. But again, we just owe him a debt. I know I owe him a debt of gratitude, but I think the organization also owes Jim a debt of gratitude for his 38 years of service in Aroostook County and to the state of Maine. So again, August was a month. And I know Jim's passing just really made me stop and think about, again, reflect on all that we do for Extension and all that Extension does for the state. So with that, I am going to stop sharing. And as I mentioned, leave time for whatever questions that you may have. I see that Dick posted about submitting a recipe, and thank you, Lynn, for quickly responding to that. But any other questions in regards to anything I mentioned or anything I didn't, but it's a question that you have. I'll take a break, take a drink. It's very hard for me to be quiet on these. I want to fill up the silence with words, but. Good question, Teresa. Food, coffee, it's all available. All available. There's no restrictions on. The union is even have a buffet open now. So I think everything is on the table as far as food and beverages in meetings. And I know I've been to a whole bunch of in-person meetings now, and that is certainly the case. So, and the face coverings, again, if you want to go online, I think I put these in a previous email, but if let's say you have a meeting, it's in person, you're serving food and beverages, what the guidance is saying is that you can take your coffee, your pastry, your lunch or whatnot back to your table, remove your face covering to eat. And then the idea is that you would put your face covering back on after you have finished your food and beverages. And that seemingly is what is happening, at least in the meetings that I've been in. The lunch and learn sessions are recorded, and they are available online. I think we've been sending out an email as far as the recordings, but I know they are being housed in a place, and we can certainly send that link out as well I think we've only had 2 or 3 at this point in time, but we do have them saved on a site that you can go back to, and we will get that information out. Anything? All right. With that, I certainly don't feel like we need to stay on, even though it's great to see everybody. I know everybody probably would like the 15 minutes back that I'm going to give in your day. Those are the small gifts. And so, oh, thanks, Angela, for posting the lunch and learn link. This is like magic. People ask it and it just appears in the chat box. So I appreciate everybody's quickness to copy links over to the chat. Anything else for the good of the group before we adjourn? And again, as always, folks, if a question comes after we log off, feel free to reach out to me and we'll try to get an answer to you and whatever that looks like. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle's going to add the lunch and learn link in extension connection recording as well. So that'll be helpful. All right. I hope everybody is doing well. Families are doing well. It certainly feels like fallout. FYI, we've lost 2 hours and 40 minutes since the summer solstice because I cannot not look at that every day in the Bangor Daily News. I need to let that go, but I don't. So we've lost 2 hours and 40 minutes of daylight since June. I know it's horrible. I know, but, and it certainly feels like fallout. Here's to a new season. So happy Tuesday, everybody. Have a good week. Have a good month. And certainly we'll see you in a Zoom meeting or somewhere probably in the next month. But thank you all. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.